Welcome Starfinders to Starfinder Week. My name is Cody. This is Taking20, a channel about all things role-playing games. And today we're continuing our coverage of Starfinder's classes by taking a closer look at the Technomancer. So, I hope you guys are ready. Let's get started. Okay guys, so before we jump in and talk about the Technomancer, I want to give a big thank you to my sponsor for Starfinder Week, Miniature Market. I personally have been shopping at Miniature Market since I discovered them back in 2015 because their prices are killer and they carry pretty much everything for gamers. Love board games? They got them. Big into trading card games? They got them. You're looking for some tabletop miniatures? You guessed it, they got those too. And of course, if you want to snag some serious discounts on Starfinder's full lineup, be sure to check out the link down in the description below. It'll take you guys right to everything Starfinder, and it'll let Miniature Market know that I sent you over. So whatever you're into, Miniature Market is the place for all of your gaming needs. What is a Technomancer exactly? From the outside, they may appear to simply be an arcane wizard, but they are far more than that. Technomancers blend their magical prowess with technology, using one to enhance or empower the other. By understanding the structure of technology, Technomancers can use magic to infiltrate the minds of robots, AIs, and constructs, and bend it to their will, something that magic alone would simply be incapable of. By blending technology into their magic, Technomancers can create powerful necromantic magic infused with nanites that eat away at both organic and mechanical beings alike. By utilizing the latest technologies, Technomancers can do more than just store their spells in a paper book, but rather they can create even more powerful effects with their magics, prolonging the effects far beyond a traditional spellbook. Technomancers see both technology and magic as tools, and each are more powerful when used together. Okay, so now let's take a look at the numbers. The first thing we see is that the Technomancer gets 5 hit points and 5 points of stamina. The Technomancer's key ability score is Intelligence. Beyond that, they will also most likely want an above average dexterity and constitution, as most classes do in Starfinder. The Technomancer only gets 4 skill ranks per level and has 8 class skills to choose from, which are computers, engineering, life science, mysticism, physical science, piloting, profession, and sleight of hand. Now, assuming you have a solid intelligence score, you should be able to pick up pretty much all of these, or even go outside of your class skills for the always useful perception. And of the 8 class skills, only 1 doesn't exclusively rely on either intelligence or dexterity, which is mysticism. As wisdom, mysticism's correlating ability modifier, will probably be at best your 4th highest skill. That might make for a good skill to skip for something like perception, especially if you already have somebody else in the party that could pick it up, like a mystic. Though, if you are planning to play a higher level character, the Technomancer eventually gets a bonus to mysticism that grows all the way to a +6 at level 18, so that may be a reason that you go ahead and stick with it. The Technomancer also picks up proficiency in light armor, basic melee weapons, and small arms. When we look at the Technomancer's class features, we see that they are a 3/4 base attack bonus class, and that they only get full save progression in 1 save, which is their will save bonus. The Technomancer is not a very deep class when it comes to class features, and this is because their spells and their spell selection will both be the main mechanic that they'll rely on and have the biggest impact on how they actually play. So let's take a gander at how spells work for the Technomancer. If you've played Pathfinder before, the Technomancer might feel a bit more like the sorcerer than the wizard, even though the Technomancer is an intelligent-based class. The Technomancer starts off at level 1 with 4 0-level spells and 2 first-level spells. In order to cast a spell, the Technomancer must first have an intelligence score, not intelligence modifier, of at least 10 plus the spell's level. In short, you'll need an intelligence score of at least 11 to cast first-level spells, 12 to cast second-level spells, and so on. So there are basically two mechanics here that newer players can often find a bit confusing. Spells per day, sometimes referred to as spell slots, and spells known. Spells per day are exactly that. It tells you how many spells you can cast per day at each level. And this mechanic doesn't care which spell you actually cast. It only cares about what level it is, and if you have enough spell slots left to cast it. Spells known, on the other hand, is the number of different spells your Technomancer knows, like Invisibility, Magic Missile, and Detect Magic. Where a lot of confusion comes in is when you start looking at bonus spells. And I'm happy to see that this table has been completely separated from the ability score section like it was in Pathfinder and older versions of Dungeons & Dragons, which should help make this a little simpler to understand. The Cliff Notes version of this is that sometimes you gain additional spells per day, again, not spells known, if your intelligence modifier is high enough to reach those bonuses. If you're still unsure how this works, you can find this table on page 120 in the core rulebook. Now, in addition to spells, the Technomancer also gets their spell cache at level 1. A Technomancer's spell cache can take many different shapes. It could be a computer, an implant, a ring, or a tattoo, to list just a few examples. So long as it is a permanent object or permanent marking on your body, you can use it as your spell cache. What spell cache does is it allows you to activate your cache to cast an additional spell that you know once per day. This does not work like a traditional spell book in that you don't need to access the spell cache to cast spells. So if you're separated from it for any reason, you'll still be able to cast like normal, you just won't have access to your cache spell. And also, don't worry if your cache gets damaged or destroyed, it can be eventually replaced. Starting at 2nd level, the Technomancer gains access to their first magic hack. These, as much as spells, will define how your Technomancer plays. The Technomancer gets their first magic hack at 2nd level, and then every 3 levels after that. In total, there are 31 magic hacks listed in the core rulebook, but by level 20, the Technomancer will only be able to choose 7 of them. And unlike several other classes in the game, the Technomancer's magic hacks are all completely independent of each other, meaning that there aren't really trees that you need to worry about. You can mix and match these abilities as much as you like. Now, there are 5 tiers of magic hacks, each with their own level requirement. The next tier becomes available at the same time that you pick up a new magic hack at levels 2, 5, 8, 11, and 14. So in essence, you will most likely only grab 1 hack from each tier until you reach level 17, or unless you skip a tier to grab one from a lower tier. This, of course, makes the selection of your magic hacks very, very important. So here are a few choices from each tier that I think are particularly strong options. Starting with the level 2 tier, I really like Energized Spell and Selective Targeting. Of the choices in this tier, not many are going to have as a significant impact as these 2 options, even when you start to gain higher levels. Energized Spell is a neat little trick that allows you to soak up energy from a weapon's power cell to gain an additional spell slot, though it does take an entire 20 charges of a clip per level, so utilizing this on high-level spells might be a little more difficult. But considering how easily you can recharge a weapon power cell and the availability of higher capacity magazines, you could feasibly add 4 level 1 slots all the way to a single 4th level slot. So if you're ever worried about running out of spell slots, you should consider this magic hack. It's a pretty good one. Selective Targeting, on the other hand, lets you cast AoE spells into a crowd and avoid hitting some or all of your allies. This is a great hack choice for AoE blasters in parties with melee characters as well. At level 5, I think that there are 2 obvious choices that just jump out at me right away, and a third that might be a more interesting choice to consider as a specific build around that particular ability. The first is Extend Spell, which lets you spend a resolve point to double a spell's duration. It is a bit conservative, but you still might get a lot of mileage out of this particular hack. The second is Magic Negation, which allows you to temporarily suppress magic within 30 feet of you. And the last magic hack that I think might be worth a look at is Fabricate Arms. The math is a little heavy on how you can put this to use exactly, but it basically allows you to temporarily create a magic weapon or armor that you also gain proficiency in. There are a few limits on its capabilities, but it does seem like you might be able to gain access to much higher level weapons than you would if you were just having to buy them. It also seems to scale quite nicely as you level, and you'll still be able to fabricate very high level weapons and armor all the way to cap. And again, this wouldn't be my first instinct to grab, but for those players out there that want to create a really unique feeling Technomancer, give this a look. At 8th level, I really only feel like there is a single standout that is even close to what I might consider a must-have, which is Flash Teleport. This, in essence, lets you take a move action to simply teleport 30 feet away without provoking an attack of opportunity. Again, a very conservative hack, but when you need it, you'll be thrilled that you have it. I will say that if you find Flash Teleport a bit bland, then this might be a good level to consider going back and picking up a second hack from one of the lower 2 tiers. Grabbing Magic Negation here, if you took Extend Spell, is not going to gimp your character in any way. The level 11 tier is another underwhelming tier to me, and honestly, I'm not sure that there are any hacks that I would really strongly recommend. The one hack that I think might be the most useful is Eternal Spell. This lets you treat one of your level 1 spells as a 0 level spell, giving you the chance to cast it infinitely. So you could have, in essence, infinite magic missiles, which is sort of nice, but they aren't really great by the time that you gain access to this at level 11. Using this on Supercharged Weapon is going to destroy your action economy, and Life Bubble could make for a great bit of utility, but I just don't think it's necessary, and it might be a waste of a hack choice on a level 1 spell that lasts 1 day per level anyway. My recommendation, go back and snag something else here. But again, that's just my opinion. And finally, the level 14th tier gives us 4 more choices, which technically you could grab 3 of by the time that you hit level 20 if you wanted to. The first is Phase Shot. This lets you fire off a single shot at someone who is known to you, and the shot just blows through all cover and barriers that aren't magical in nature. Pretty nasty, but perhaps average usability. Quickened Spell, which lets you spend multiple resolve points to cast a 0, 1st, or 2nd level spell as a move action, but what's prohibitive here is just how expensive it is to use this magic hack. It'll really eat through a lot of your resolve points. The next hack we get is Rain of Fire, which is perhaps one of the strongest magic hacks you can get, with the exclusion of the next one I'm about to talk about. This lets you spend a pair of resolve points to fire off a shot at 7 to 10 enemies, depending on your Technomancer level. While this does eat through your ammunition, in the right circumstances, this could be pretty effective. I genuinely really like this hack a lot. And finally, we have Spell Library, which I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say is the absolute best hack in the game. This gives you an additional spell known for every single level, including levels that you gain after taking this hack. So my advice, when you hit level 14, take this hack. Jumping back to level 3, the Technomancer picks up Spell Focus for free, Weapon Specialization, and a class feature called Tech Lore, which grants the Technomancer a bonus to computers and to mysticism. This is that bonus I was mentioning earlier, and the bonus continues to grow every 3 levels. When the Technomancer hits level 6, their spell cache gains some added benefits in the form of Cache Capacitor. This lets a Technomancer pick from a small list of spells and have it just continuously affect them for 24 hours at a time. It does cost a spell slot to cast the chosen spell into their spell cache, but this list expands at level 12, and then it expands again at level 18. Most of these spells are simple utility spells like Disguise Self, Spider Climb, and See Invisibility as a few examples. Then at level 19, the Technomancer gets access to Resolve Attunement. This is a great ability and gives the Technomancer back resolve points whenever they cast a 6th level spell or higher. And finally, the Technomancer's capstone is Fuse Spells. This gives the Technomancer the chance to spend a resolve point to trade in lower level spell slots, adding them up to a higher spell slot. So as an example, you could trade in 2 level 3 slots for a 6th level slot, or you could trade in a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 for the same effect. And as an additional option, you can spend 2 resolve points and 2 level 6 slots to just cast Wish, which single-handedly makes this one of the best capstones in the game. And I would even place more value on this than the Soldier's Capstone Kill Shot. I'm not gonna dive into spells in this video, as I'll be making an entire video dedicated just to spells, as there's just a lot to cover on that particular topic. Overall, I am really pleased with the design of the Technomancer, and like most casters in role-playing games, I think that once you start reaching higher levels, you'll probably start to feel pretty powerful, and you'll really start to feel invincible, in my opinion. I also like the design of having this class be an intelligence-based class rather than charisma-based. And the lack of keeping up with the spellbook, coupled with the addition of the spell cache, are some very solid design choices in my opinion. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you like the Technomancer's design? Do you think that the blend of technology and arcane magic is strange? Or do you think that it makes a lot of sense? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Also, be sure to check out the video's description for a full guide to all the coverage here for Starfinder Week on the channel. I'm going to be releasing 28 videos for Starfinder over the next few weeks, so if you're looking for a place to keep up with everything Starfinder, I've got you covered. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week I'll be putting out new videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join. Once again, I want to give a special thank you to my sponsor, Miniature Market, for making all of Starfinder Week possible, and thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.